What is something nsfw you've done but if you told anyone they would probably never want to talk to you again? When I was 19 I paid $350 for the services of a woman of the night. I left and went to a friend's house where they were having a party. I got very drunk and realized I left my phone charger at this woman's motel. So I took an Uber back and she wouldn't let me back in again unless I paid, so I gave her another $350, did the dirty deeds and grabbed my charger and left. It wasn't until the next day I realized I could have just spent $10 on a new charger. Over the last year I've gone from being like almost 300 pounds and miserable to 150 pounds and fit as fuck. My parents, co-workers and doctor are all like, "Wow, this is so amazing, I'm proud of you. How did you do it? Most people can't do that without WLS." And I just laugh and say, "Oh, calorie deficit," which I mean is true, but not the whole story. What actually happened was I apparently had a bad binge eating disorder I was in denial about, and that's what stopped any attempts dead in their tracks. Last year on a 3-day weekend I came home and decided, I got 3 days off. Time to fly. And proceeded to take 5 tabs of LSD. Then it swung hard into bad trip territory and I felt like I was going to just straight up die while watching the carpet bubble. Then after the trip I realized whatever was in my brain that made me get dopamine rushes from food and crave food while stressed and depressed just was deleted. Gone. Poof. So I just ran with it. Like only 3 people know what actually happened. It's not like an awful secret, but I'm not going to tell my parents or coworkers like, "Yeah, I got lit the fuck up on LSD and accidentally cured my eating disorder. I dunno man, I don't make the rules." Edit. Jesus Christmas, I checked this on my way home from work and it was like 2 replies. Then I get home and I'm about to work out and look and see 168 updates. Lol. Another edit. Yeah, I know this isn't NSFW in a sense, but it's not really something that's a thing here. I live in a really small rural town in the Midwest and work at a machine shop. I'm sure any type of admitted drug use would be frowned upon lol. Even though yeah, it's in my own time. I'm also sometimes hesitant to tell people because it was an intense trip. I'm like a high-dose veteran. I would regularly do 3 to 4.5 tab trips, and I handled it fine. That one grabbed me by the throat and threw me down the rabbit hole. It was totally not for the faint of heart lol. But it's crazy to think what we have access to and don't even know it. I had a girlfriend in college who had a cum fetish. She would jerk me off into her toothbrush and sit there and keep it in her mouth while we watched Dr. House Save Lives on TV. A few times she jerked me off into her food. That was weird. I saw her on Facebook a few years ago. She sells bath bombs and stuff like that. I wouldn't buy from her though. I think it's crazy how many people are admitting their deepest secrets just because someone on the internet asked them to anyways. My girlfriend likes to degrade me, and I let her edit. I hate you all. My first time ejaculating was when I was playing The Sims 2 after discovering that the blur disappears when you used move objects on and pull your sim out of the shower. Would make hot and attractive Sims just so I could see them naked. Tracy Morgan taught me how to jerk off. When I was 12, he had a stand-up special on Comedy Central. One joke he told was about waiting for his wife and kids to leave the house so he could whack it in peace. He used the microphone to mimic the act. I had come before that, but never on purpose. When I saw him doing that it was like a light bulb went on in my head. I immediately went upstairs to my bathroom and discovered my new hobby. I had to go bad, and felt my inner colon paining. I ran into the supply room and shit in a box. It was horrible, smelled so pungent too. I dumped a bunch of random stuff inside and taped the box closed and carried it out, like I was getting needed supplies. Well, thank you for getting rid of it. Much more considerate than other people. I had a 1.5 year long relationship with my best friend's mother. We've never told anyone. That's fucked up, dude. You could have been his father he never had. It would be my honor to be your new stepfather. Yes, that's one to take to the grave. I paid for WinRAR back in 2006. That there is a lot to unpack. I used to cum onto the inside of a pair of boxer shorts so my GF at the time could wear them to work and rub herself while standing behind the bar. Her thing and I don't judge. I used and abused my friend's fleshlight. I had to throw it away and I never told anyone. To this day his friend doesn't know what he did wrong for his fleshlight to leave him. I tried to suck my own dick, which gave me a hernia that still is painful sometimes even 30 years later. Moral. When young, stretch every day. Edit. I did succeed, but I did not swallow, that was one bridge too far, so since I did not dare to climax I stopped doing it. It did not feel like sucking a dick at all but felt like getting it sucked 100%. I got the hernia surgically fixed, still the metal plate is annoying sometimes but nothing that bad. Dante. What an embarrassing way to die. Randall. That's nothing compared to how my cousin Walter died. Dante. How'd he die? Randall. He broke his neck. Dante. That's embarrassing. Randall. He broke his neck trying to suck his own dick. Dante. Shut the hell up. Randall. I swear. Dante. Stop it. Randall. Bible truth. Dante. Oh, my God. Randall. Come on. Haven't you ever tried to suck your own dick? Dante. No. Randall. Yeah, right. You're so repressed. Dante. Because I never tried to suck my own dick? Randall. No, because you won't admit to it. As if a guy's a fucking pervert because he tries to go down on himself. You're as curious as the rest of us, pal. You've tried it. Dante. Who found him? Randall. My cousin? My aunt found him. It was a mess. He was on his bed, with his legs doubled over himself. My aunt freaked out. Dante. Man, he had his dick in his mouth? Randall. Yeah. Balls resting on his lips. Dante. Wow. He really made it. Randall. Yeah, but at what a price? Pause. Dante. I could never reach. Randall. Reach what? Dante. You know. Randall. What, your dick? Dante. Yeah, like you said. I guess everyone gets curious and tries. It's sometime. Randall. I never tried it. Fucking pervert. I wonder when the BuzzFeed article is coming out? I'm a 45-year-old man. I live in a co-op apartment building in New York City. I worked on a building beautification project with a fellow resident about 6 months ago. I'm guessing she's about 30 years my senior. All during the project we shared a lot of laughs and formed a comfortable friendship. At the end of the project, she invited me to her apartment for dinner. We shared some great conversation and a lot of wine. At some point while I was talking, she put her hand over mine which I was resting on the table. She leaned in for a kiss and I reciprocated. We had sex that night. It was good sex too. A week or so later she called me up and asked if I could change a light bulb in her ceiling. It was a pretext for us to have sex again. Since then, we've established a relationship where she texts me requesting some help. I go over to her place and we have sex. If I told anyone in my life that I'm having a sexual relationship with a woman in her mid-70s, I'm not sure what the reaction would be. I think they'd think I've lost my mind. I think this one is just sweet. Who cares what other people would think? You're both consenting adults enjoying yourselves and I wish you lots of fabulous sex. Not only sex, but also light bulbs get changed and shit. I cut a hole in my mattress when I was a kid and tried to fuck it. Hit the bedsprings on the first stroke. Peed on some random dude for money. Would you pee on someone for $500? Sure, I guess. Okay, there's this guy Steve. He's my boss. Can't stand the fucker. I had an orgasm while running away from an angry chihuahua when I was 8 years old. No ejaculating, just the sensation. I spent the rest of that summer trying to get that chihuahua to chase me. Not me but a friend. During a confessions conversation a group of us were having, he said he'd watched CP during lockdown and enjoyed it. He's no longer part of the group because nobody has spoken to him since. When I was 15 and heavily addicted to WoW, I was like 8 hours into this 14 hours marathon and thought fuck it. Made a female neigh, stripped down somewhere in the starting area, made her dance and jerked it. Never told a fucking soul that one before. You ever heard tales of the kid in middle school that jacked off under his desk? Edit. I'm so glad this is my first comment to get seen by thousands of people. Truly inspiring. When I was young, dumb, and very horny. I fucked a soccer bopper. With no lube. Thankfully nobody ever used it anyways. Edit. To everyone asking, it probably would have been better than a pillow fight if I had known what lube was at the time. But I did not, so it was not. Nice try, HR. Had an ex-boyfriend who liked it when I used my Minnesotan accent in bed. Did it a few times and now the thought of it makes me shudder. Daw, there's the spot, dearie. This is the biggest cock I've ever felt on a scotty, don't jack no. You do need to hurry up and finish though. Oh yeah, top my tater. I've paid multiple women to beat me up, no regrets. When I was a young teenager I used to jack it to a J.C. Penney's catalog. Yes, even the maternity section. It developed a kink. This was before smartphones and my dad was really good at hiding his Playboy. I had a Pornhub account, and had a pretty big fanbase. I made money by selling videos on Snapchat. This was before OnlyFans was a thing. I was 23 and could use the money. I loved the attention and I loved the excitement. I even did it for free in the beginning. For the Dutchies. I also was pretty big on gent student ha. Masturbated in principal's office to his daughter's picture. I put the peanut butter knife into the jelly jar without cleaning it. Straight to hell. At 16 I stole a fleshlight from a local sex store, then drove off not being able to wait to use it. I used it while driving and actually finished, but post-nut clarity set in. I threw it out the window into what I thought was some woods, but I looked last second to have an image burned into my mind. The image of a used fleshlight exploding onto a gravestone from a cemetery at 45 miles per hour. Reality set in then. Oh my god. This one does it for me, dude. Someone probably found a completely obliterated pocket pussy in the graveyard in the daylight. Perhaps near their loved one, and surely had a moment of just, what the absolute fuck happened here? Between the ages of 12 to 16 I used a hand puppet cow to jack off. I ended up needing it to ejaculate. I named it Mr. Cum Comes. I don't have answers for any questions regarding the name. Anyway, one day I went to use Mr. CC and he was nowhere to be found. To this day, almost 20 years later, I still wonder of his whereabouts. Maybe in my parents' attic with my childhood toys, maybe deep in a landfill. Or the poor thing came to life like Toy Story and finally made its great escape. Not me, but my ex-GF shoved a curling iron up her cooch and didn't clean it. Ever. She told me her sister used it the next day. Glad I broke up with her, I should have seen the signs. One hot sweaty day at the shop I used the blue chalk for the snap line to powder me balls. Couldn't take the sticking anymore. Now my most upvoted comment. Couple answers. Yes, it worked. Being a white guy my junk looked a lot like a Smurf though. Normally I'm a gold bond guy, but my work bottle was out. I have to wear full FR, it was about 98 degrees F and matching humidity. There is no AC in the shop. Would def do it again. Back in middle school I had to buy copper sheets for art class sculptures. I had a lot extra, so what the horny little 13Y, oh bastard did was sculpting a vulva in class. What the fuck was I thinking, and then brought it home. I started humping it and decided it needed a little bit of lube. After I put it on I damn near slashed my cock on the sharp corner of the sheet. Remember kids. If PP can ouchie, no go on PP. Early 80s had a 6th grade teacher that was physically, emotionally, and verbally abusive. She would make us go get glasses of water for her during class. When it was my turn I would get water out of the toilet and spit in it. Considering I was a very shy quiet kid still surprises me I did it. Either the act itself or this comment will eventually come back to bite me in the ass. But it's been 15+ years, so fuck it. Smacking the shit out of an asshole child, fellow camper during summer camp. Kid was being an absolute terror to everyone, scream crying at night, destroying things, etc. etc. It was clear the parents coddled him, treated him like their little perfect prince, and never disciplined him. They also called the camp multiple times a day to speak to him, which was against the rules. The kid needed a swift kick in the ass and to finally be told, no. No one dared touch the kid, for obvious reasons. But one day he went too far and I'd had enough. I was a junior counselor in training at the time and was supervising the archery course. The kid was terrible at it and was getting irate that other kids were hitting the target and he wasn't. So he took an arrow and began hitting the kid next to him with it. I snatched the arrow from him and he immediately let out a blood-curdling scream like a banshee that just wouldn't end. So I smacked him upside his head and told him to nsfw. By some miracle it worked on the spot. Kid was practically an angel the rest of the week. It was like I literally knocked some sense into him. When I first found out about masturbation and how sex worked, I tried to fuck a stuffed animal. Still am ashamed about it to this day lol. No, I'm not a dog edit. Thanks for silver. Who knew fucking a stuffed teddy bear could be so popular edit too? A stuffed animal worth its weight in gold. Thanks for the awards. This seems like something a dog would say. Paid for, watched my coworkers' OnlyFans live lol. I have a particular kink where someone is wearing a pair of heels they can't take off, as in they're strapped up, locked on, cursed and can't come off, and then they step in an adhesive trap, like a person-sized glue trap, and can't pull free of it by their own power, but are able to struggle in it. I know no one I could ask to play this out for me. When I was like 9 to 10 years old I figured out all this sexual stuff and thought masturbating is awesome. Did it too much and even to the point that I put cat treats down there next to it so my cat would eat it there. I did that once still when I was 10 years old. Still ashamed nowadays if I think of it. I don't know what was going on inside my head, not a lot I think until. When I was 11 I had a mental breakdown and felt bad for everything I did. I even felt guilty for masturbating itself. Told every single thing I did my mom, dad. Was a hard time but they handled the situation good. I've masturbated in the board members' toilets of 3 different large public companies. I was a horrible teenager edit. This is now my highest upvoted comment. Thank you Reddit FFS. I had sex on somebody's grave. The headstone was old and slanted so the girl sort of reclined on it whilst I slipped and went to town. Anybody who went in that graveyard that night probably thought there was some agitated ghost around. Whoever was buried there probably enjoyed the show. I hope they were haunted by what they saw. Offered my CFO some tension relief. That reminds me of the one time I've ever gone out with people I work with. I try to separate work and personal life completely, but my hospital had just had an excellent joint commission survey, and the CFO, mid-40s, very tall powerhouse of a woman, wanted to take the entire maintenance crew out for drinks. Or at least, that's what she pretended we were doing. Her intentions were to have a whole gangbang. The night starts off normally but she is very pushy when it comes to taking shots. She wants all 3 of us drunk. We obliged. And suddenly out of nowhere, she is showing me something on her phone. My drunken eyes focused in and I see a massive pair of fake tits and a full spread vagina. I'm married and autistic and I don't fuck around with anyone like that. My director left immediately after that. I left shortly after he did. Nobody knows what happened after that but there is a lot of speculation about the last guy and her but he never admitted anything to me after. He's married with kids, as were all of us. It doesn't end there but I'm ranting so I'm gonna wrap it up. Come Monday, she called me into her office and had me shut the door. It was very horrible bosses like. Think Jennifer Aniston in the doctor coat with nothing on underneath. I resisted and told her I'm not about that life. Couple days later she was fired. I'm not a snitch so I kept it all to myself. Obviously wife knew everything that was going on. I don't keep shit from her. She went on to tell HR about all the stuff we talked about at the bar. I smoke weed. HR pulled me into the office about the weed rumor and I absolutely lost my shit. I told HR that their CFO is sexually assaulting employees and they are going to take the word of the abuser and come after their hard workers that just aced their JCO inspection. I threatened them with a lawsuit. That was the absolute end of that. I no longer get drug tested. This was all about 3 years ago. Did you get the raise you were looking for? She bought me a car. I wanked on a rooftop with a thrill that someone might come upstairs. Luckily no one came. But I was caught on CCTV. When you say no one came. Pee in someone's mouth. In 2017 when I first got back into dating after being off the market for 12 years, I met this girl on OkCupid who seemed very to have a higher than average sex drive which matched mine. What she hadn't shared were her kinks. On our second date we had gone swimming and after we got back to her place we banged it out and then she suggested we take a shower together. In the shower things get soapy and hot, She starts to blow me and I had to stop her and say I need to pee real fast. She turns the water down, scoots back, and asks me to piss on her face and chest. Golden showers aren't my thing. I hadn't given one to anyone since I was 5 years old, and at that time it was an act of revenge for someone hitting my little brother. 30-some-odd years later, here's this hot nurse asking me to piss on her face and chest. I was torn. Normally I have a shy bladder. Yet here was this woman looking up at me with these doe eyes begging for my piss. She grabs my dick and aims it at herself and I begin peeing. It was very strange having someone else control my penis while I peed. She got her face, her chest, some in her mouth. She genuinely seemed so happy getting pissed on. When I was done, she licked the last few drops from my tip and then went to town blowing me. It's 2022, that's foreplay. I dommed a guy online once. He begged me to dom him while he was at his nephew's funeral. So I did. I made him finger his ass in the bathroom and send me pics. It was weird. He just kept saying, "Thank you, mommy." I was 23 and he was 45 lol edit. Now that I think about it, I was probably actually only 19 to 21. This isn't bad at all, but I feel bad. I've told every girl I ever slept with that I was a virgin. I found out early that girls seem to think it's awesome to take a dude's virginity, and it usually sealed the deal. So there's like 13 girls out there in the world who all took my virginity. My man, putting the con in conquest. I am getting to the point that I only orgasm from the thought of being raped. I had to laugh so hard that I peed in an elevator because I couldn't hold my laughter. There was a stranger with me going 20 floors up. The entire elevator was full of piss. I was 12. My next-door neighbor was a female bodybuilder. I was 16 and obsessed. Persuaded her to let me babysit, because in my mind when she came home after a night out I might have a chance. Turns out, it didn't take much. Turned into a bi-weekly thing for a year till we moved. No one ever knew I was fucking my 40-year-old neighbor, and to this day I have an obsession with muscly women. Now I look back on it, it was pretty fucked up. But I have several fucked up stories like this. Not sure which wins. Edit didn't expect this to turn into an AMA. But sure. I'm not at work today and have free time, go for your life. Edit 2 gave a few more stories below. I grew up in a very conservative Asian family. After going abroad for uni and discovering that guys actually find me attractive if I just went out more, I ended up exploring and eventually got to the point where I let 2 guys take me to an Airbnb home to take turns having me freely. The only rule is 1 at a time in the room, but the other is allowed to listen at the door. This happened for a whole weekend. Thanks all for sending curious questions. But I am tired of answering the same questions from men. They are all alike. So I will now only respond to private messages if I think you're female. I've masturbated with a variety of fruits and vegetables I find in my fridge. After, I wash them, then cook, prepare them for eating. The pineapple was the most difficult.